Finally, after 6 long years of just watching Honda sweep the floor with its Honda HR-V, Toyota has got an answer, and it is in the form of this Toyota Corolla Cross. Now, let's take a look. There are two variants of the Toyota Corolla Cross available in Malaysia. The entry-level 1.8G that we're driving here goes for 124,000 ringgit, whereas the top 1.8V costs 10,000 ringgit more at 134,000 ringgit. Now, you must be asking, didn't Toyota technically have a rival to the Honda HR-V in the form of the Toyota CHR? Well, you're right. It is, or at least it was, the direct rival to the HR-V. But then again, the CHR was a unique car in that it was developed specifically for the European market, and therefore prices were a little bit high. The car was a little bit more premium, and it was a bit more, well, sophisticated because it had dual wishbone rear suspension. This one has a torsion beam, and that very nicely blends into the reason for why this car exists. This is made specifically for the ASEAN region. Now, to understand why it's called the Corolla Cross, you just have to know one thing. The heart of it, or at least the chassis, the engine, the transmission, they are all shared with the Corolla sedan. So 1.8 litre engine, CVT with a 7-speed shift mode, as well as, well, this is front wheel driven only, no all-wheel drive here, and the Toyota TNGA-C platform. That's right. In terms of sheer design, you'll notice that the Corolla Cross has no resemblance whatsoever to the Corolla sedan. Nearly everything about the car is different. The headlights are different, the big gaping grille is also different, the front fenders and the rear arches are flared out for a muscular look, and you can see that in the headlights as well as on the C-pillar chrome trim, you'll find the Corolla Cross lettering. In terms of equipment, the base spec 1.8G gets halogen headlights with halogen DRLs, although interestingly it has LED fog lights. It also sits on 17-inch wheels, and the taillights are the base spec bulb type variant. If you move up to the 1.8V, that's going to get you bi-LED headlights with a fancier LED daytime running lights, nice dual tone 18-inch wheels with Michelin tires, and LED combination taillights. Both variants get a powered tailgate with a kick sensor, so that's nice. So first things first, you've got to know that the entire dashboard, almost 100% of it, is shared with the Corolla Altis, with the exception being the instrument cluster. So the one on the 1.8G has 2 analog gauges on the left and the middle, and the multi-info display, which has color, in fact, is on the right side, and it's pretty fluid, pretty nice, pretty legible. In the middle here rests a larger 9-inch display. This is standard for both variants, and it supports Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. I do not know who supplied this because it doesn't say even in the settings function, but it is a very responsive unit. It also gives you quite good or quite decent granular controls when it comes to setting your audio profile. So I think a lot of Toyota cars do excel at that, and I recommend Toyota for continuing that. It's very responsive, it feels really snappy, in fact, much better than, I have to say, much better than Honda and Subaru's systems. Maybe in terms of look, the Mazda is better, but Toyota is doing a very good job here. This screen was a 3,000 ringgit option sometime back for the Corolla sedan, so it's nice to see that it is standard here. And it has this USB port down here, so you can physically connect your phone via cable to, access Android Auto and Apple CarPlay and all that. The air vent design as well as the HVAC controls, they are the same as the Corolla sedan, with the exception of the front passenger dash. It has a slightly different profile, but overall, not bad. In terms of quality, I've got to say they use a lot of hard plastics like here, around, and all the way down to the middle. So I don't really appreciate that, but the good side, or the good thing is, you've got soft touch materials here, as well as on the door cards and at the back. Actually, no. This is hard plastic, but the door rest itself, or the armrest on the door, is soft leather. In terms of seating comfort, I've got to say, it's actually okay. There's nothing to write home about. It could use a little bit more lumbar support, but other than that, I think the seat padding is okay. I like the perforated design, but yeah, could use a little bit more comfort. Rear legroom, on the other hand, is pretty good. I would say it's a lot better and less claustrophobic inducing compared to the Toyota CHR. Number one, because you've got actual better legroom, and number two, the window line is lower, so passengers get a better view out. Overall, the rear space is a nicer place to be in, but the HRV is still a little bit more spacious. Maybe this ties in very well with the CX-30 and Subaru XV, but if you're looking for like 100% practical use, the HRV is unfortunately still uncontested. A couple more things I want to add on for rear passengers is that they've got 2 USB charging ports, both rated at 2.1 amps. They also get 2 air vents, but only on the rear center console, none in the B pillars. And number 3, the seats, the seat back reclines up to 6 degrees. And the seats have a 60-40 split, so they both have a 6-degree adjustability right there. Yeah, that's pretty much it. In terms of boot space, the Corolla Cross has 440 liters of space, which makes it larger than the Honda HR-V, although not by much, and also larger than the Subaru XV and Mazda CX-30. So this is not bad. Plus, you can fold the seats down in a 60-40 split configuration for more space. Although in terms of actual sheer volume, again, the Honda HR-V is still the best in class. Okay, if you're familiar with the Toyota Corolla Altis sedan, you'll know that this car shares the same 1.8-litre 4-cylinder naturally aspirated engine. So it makes 139 PS and 172 Newton meters of torque. So that is actually 1 Newton meter less than the sedan, but whatever, it makes no difference. Power goes through the front wheels through a CVT. But now I want to talk a little bit about this 1.8G. It doesn't have the sport mode, so you're only driving in one mode only. And in terms of power delivery, I think it's pretty adequate. This CVT does a pretty good job of getting you off the line, so you get a lot of very flexible use in terms of urban driving. So getting off the line is easy, overtaking is okay, so long as you remain within speed limits. So that is like the gist of it. Now, specifically about the engine, I think response is good. Like if I kick down, like there is almost no delay. So that's, I would like to think the powertrain is pretty well tuned, and that makes overtaking pretty easy. I wouldn't say it has a lot of gut to it. It's not a very punchy engine, but it is supposed to be efficient. If I were to compare this powertrain with its closest rivals, those being the Honda HR-V, the Subaru XV, and the Mazda CX-30, I would say that it pulls its own weight, because this car is only 40 kilograms heavier than the Corolla sedan, so it doesn't have to work extra hard. It still does the job pretty well, I would say, and I just find that I wish that the powertrain has a little bit more gut or power when you're cruising at, say, past 100, 110 kilometers, for example. Now for the transmission, there is no pedal shifters, but there is this Tiptronic function in the middle, so I don't know what is the use of it, but I guess it simulates a gear shift pretty well. It's stepped in a way and holds on to that RPM, so I think this is your best friend for when you want to overtake. And if you've heard how the transmission sounds at higher RPM, it's actually pretty loud like this. Yeah, not my favorite thing about CVTs, but for urban use, I think it's perfectly fine. For ride and handling, as far as first impressions go, it is really good. This is my actual first hands-on experience with the new TNGA platform, and I've got a lot of good things to say about this and maybe a few negatives, so we'll start with the good stuff first. Number one, I find the ride to be very composed. It's surprisingly composed for a car that rides at the height that it is. For a crossover, I think it's commendable that it's not as crashy. It's a lot more comfortable than the HR-V, especially on the front side. The rear is a torsion beam setup, so on the highways you don't feel it as much, but when you go through road imperfections, you really feel the really dreadful effects of, I don't know, using a torsion beam. It's very one-dimensional in the way that it rebounds, and you feel it echo in terms of the sound through the cabin. That's my only gripe with the torsion beam suspension. But in terms of outright performance, the Toyota engineers say that you won't be able to tell the difference when you are throwing this car around the bends, for example, because it more or less handles the same at below 100 kilometers around the bends. I don't know how far true that is because we didn't get the chance to sample this. We only drove this for an hour each, me and my colleague at the back. So not much time in assessing the car, but again, first impressions, very commendable job. I think the hype that surrounds the whole TNGA platform is real. It is very composed, both on highways and very confident around the bends. And it certainly feels a lot more matured compared to older non-TNGA cars, like for example the leather frame Toyota Rush or Perodua Arus. So this is not bad at all. I also want to touch a little bit on refinement. I think Toyota has done a good job with the Corolla Cross. You just heard a motorbike ride past you. That is still pretty audible. And on poorly surfaced roads, actually on general roads even, you can hear tire roar, but not so much wind noise and engine noise. And in fact, when you start the engine and just let it sit for a while, you barely hear the engine, which is a good thing because it really shows how far Toyota has come with the refinement. But again, I have to point out the negatives here, which is the tires. The Bridgestone Alenza that's used here is not really the best suited for our roads, I would say. The 18-inch wheels that are found on the more expensive 1.8V comes with Michelin tires, and I think that should be better. But again, we'll get our hands on that and see if it's any better. Now, in terms of safety, there is Toyota Safety Sense, but the functionalities are somewhat limited, especially with the 1.8G. With the base spec model, you only get blind spot monitor and rear cross traffic alert, as well as tire pressure warning system. And even though it has 7 airbags as standard, it would be nice to have stuff like pre-collision system and lane departure alert with steering assist, dynamic radar cruise control, as well as lane keeping assist. All these features are available on the 1.8V, which also includes automatic high beam assist. Okay, one more thing I want to point out is this car comes with this 360-degree surround view camera system, but interestingly enough, the car that you get on the display is only shown in red. So no matter what color you pick, you only get like a red car here. And it's nice because it's gonna show you, selectable view, so you can like choose to see the front. You have like a split screen function, so one shows you a bird's eye view, another one is just any view of your choice. So that is okay, except it's a little bit low resolution. This can be improved, but I guess it is what it is. Okay, time for some closing thoughts. Before I give you my verdict of the Corolla Cross, I want to say maybe Toyota can improve on the kit list, because the 1.8G that we have right here is not technically the best looking car of the lot. So if you really like the Corolla Cross, the 1.8V is the one you should go for, because it has all the right bells and whistles. It has a better safety system, and it's got LEDs in the right place, not this mix match halogen lights, LED fog lights thing that you have going on here. And number 2, the 1.8V does add on AEB and highway adaptive cruise control, but it does not have low speed follow or traffic jam assist functions. Plus, it still uses an old school foot parking brake instead of an electronic switch. At this price range, you're not supposed to benchmark yourself against the Japanese anymore. If Proton can offer level 2 semi-autonomous driving, at least include some of this in the kit list. And I think this could be improved further down the line. This is just the introductory phase, so I just want to put it out there. There are things that can be improved here, like hard plastics. I don't know if you can do anything about that, but beyond what I'm seeing here, the drive is good, the powertrain is okay, nothing to write home about, and overall I think it's a pretty decent package for people who are looking for a slightly bigger car that is easier to get in and out of, that is not too big to drive in the city like the RAV4 or the RAV4. And for the price, again, it's a tough sell, but it's certainly cheaper than the CHR and the CX-30. So this will sell if you like the way it looks. So that's been it, this very quick first impressions drive. Let us know what you think of the Corolla Cross below. Would you like to have the hybrid powertrain to be part of the lineup? I think that would be interesting, no? So yeah, again, tell us everything, all your thoughts in the comment section below. We'll talk there. And until next time, thanks for watching. Stay safe. See you in the next video.